So yeah, I've had a measure up and everything measures up okay. I've got some dimensions for it now, but that means now I can use those 3 points in space on a piece of graph paper and I can draw any shape I want. The whole point in drawing this for me was to find out the dimensions, but it is just as easy to simply draw around the outer perimeter of this. I mean, if I was going to do it just from this, all I'd do now is using the outside profile, draw around the outside profile and then cut that out with a pair of scissors. Using spray mount, stick that onto a sheet of aluminium, and then once that's there, find the centre of it by eye, bash them in. You can always adjust the holes with a centre punch. Then you essentially, all you've got to do is drill through your holes and then saw out your material. Always leave a little bit extra, but leave the minimum extra you can, because at the end of the day, whatever you don't cut off on the saw, you have to sand off or file off by hand. So you're just making work for yourself, but obviously don't get too close to the line. Get as close to the line as you can when you're cutting your outer profile, and then sand it and file it and do all sorts of exciting stuff till it looks right. This one has to be a fixed point in space, so that is going on there in that hole. And these ones you make oversized so that if you've messed it up a tiny bit on the, because again, you've still got to drill it and you've got to get that right. So as long as you've got that piece in solid and that's not moving, that's now becomes your datum. So you make these slightly oversized to give yourself half a chance. If your drilling was slightly off height-wise or width-wise, you'll still get the bolt through and it'll all bolt up fine. If you're going to countersink these, you have to get them in the right place, because countersunk heads, which would look lovely because it'll all be nice and flush then, but countersunk heads on those, the actual countersink centers the bolt, so you can drill the hole 8mm, put a 6mm countersink in it with the countersunk recess in the top, it will pull to the countersink. So if you're going to countersink stuff, it has to be super precise, if not, just use hex heads or socket cap heads or button sockets. We'll go through some screws and stuff in a minute. So I've cut out my paper template, which I've marked up my hole centres on and everything, and the rough outside shape of it. I've scribed out a blank on a piece of aluminium, it's about 5mm thick. So I'll cut that out with a jigsaw, and then I'll spray mount my template on top of it, and then we'll go on from there. Essentially, spray mount is just like a repositional adhesive. You used to use it for actually mounting photographs when you used to get photographs printed out and pieces of artwork or whatever. So I've cut my blank out. I've left the extra piece of metal on the side, so at least I've got a bit more leverage sort of to hold on it rather than trying to hold a fairly small piece. Plus, if I want to clamp it in the vise, I can clamp that piece rather than clamping along the edges. But yeah, there we are. So time for some spray mount. And time for a new can of spray mount by the sounds of it. But there we are, that's all we needed for today. So that's on there. Now we go get a centre punch. I like a spring-loaded one for aluminium because it's soft enough, but usually I use a traditional one which you hit with a hammer for steel or anything harder. So yeah, tighten it up, find your centres. Double check, that's good. Get another couple. That'll do it. So we'll drill those out, do that first while we've got that. So I've drilled my holes, started off essentially with a step drill, which starts off at 4, 6, 8, 10 each step is. The thing is, with the step drill, obviously it only has a certain amount of depth, so trying to get through this plate, it wouldn't make it all the way through before you hit the next size, and you don't want to go up to the next size because that's not what you want. So I had to drill that both sides. But the good thing about this, I use them basically as a centre drill as well, because they're actually really quite stiff. So you obviously have to drill a smaller pilot hole first. So I started off with 4, then went up to 6. And because this is obviously, like I say, very stout, it doesn't wander off or anything, and the centre punching obviously helps hold your centre. So yeah, did that up to 6, did that both sides for the top holes. Obviously this one I'm going to tap M6, but I can't do that until I know for sure that the fitting turns up is an M6, is going to use an M6 bolt. So I've drilled out to 4mm, which will allow me to tap it either to 5 or 6, depending on how it is when the fitting turns up. All I'll have to do is run the right size drill through that when I'm done. So yeah, that's how I did that. Then 6.5mm drill for the top 2 for clearance. Now I'm just going to trim up the rest of it. The original piece had 8mm holes here, and I've got 6.5. So if I need to, I can bang these out to 8mm and stick a 6mm screw in it, and it'll still do the job, because you can't have those screws pull up on this, because what it will do is it will pull up on the O-ring and possibly squash the O-ring too much at the top and release a gap at the bottom. So this has to be in and free to be where it wants to be, and these just hold it in that way. They shouldn't influence its position in that plane. I've now got my triangular plate. I drilled a couple of holes in it just to, you know, just make it look like a bit less of a chunk, basically, because it is quite a thick piece. I mean, it's 5mm thick, so it's looking good. And it should be more than suitable for what pressures it needs to hold in. Well, the final piece of the puzzle's turned up for the intake manifold. So I've already made the plate, obviously, to block off the idle air control valve hole, but I needed the injector top hat to arrive, which it finally has. So see if I get as close as I can with it, but all it does is replicate the top of a injector. So that's a 10.5mm diameter shaft. The hole up it's 6mm, so I can fit an M6 bolt in it, which means I do need to tap that M6. Also, it has this collar on it that I need to get rid of. Obviously that's what sits on top of the 14mm injector, and then that goes in the rail with an 11mm at the top. So what I've done is I put a socket cap head bolt through there, and a nylock nut on the back of it with a washer to protect everything. So then I can grab it by the end of the screw itself. Hopefully don't mash it too much, or on the nut itself as well. That way I can then clamp it in a vise or hold it or do other stuff to trim this down, essentially. So this is either a really good or bad idea. Well, no, I'll rephrase that. This is definitely a bad idea, but it may or may not work. So I'm pretty sure you can guess where we're going from here. We're going to pretend that this is now a lathe, and that it's going to machine that off lovely without any problems. Although it's probably going to be completely eccentric and wibbly wobbly, but if it gets 90% of it off, that'll save me 90% of the work. So here we go. So just need to drill out the bottom hole to 5mm, which is the tapping size for M6. That's better. So in an attempt to keep the threads in this thing vaguely straight, I'm going to try and use the biller drill. I'm obviously going to use the Power Tap 3000, so it's not going to be on. All I'm going to do essentially is just wind it in by hand, and then once it starts and bites into it, then I'll be able to turn it round essentially with the handle. So I'll stick that in there and I'll just turn it round. That should hopefully get it started on a straight path through. And And once I've got it in there a decent few threads, I should be able to take it out and just tap it with the normal handle, because that'll at least set it on its path, as it were. Always use a heavy grease when you're tapping anything, no matter what the material really, unless it's cast iron, I believe, because that's self-lubricating, but this is not cast iron, it's aluminium. It helps not only with lubricating it going through, but also it helps pick up the chips. So the chips end up getting stuck more in the grooves rather than just sort of mashing their way through as you're tapping, which then can, I've had it before where you tap a nice hole through something dry or with some real light lubricant, and when you back it out, it just tears the thread to pieces because there's a whole bunch of crap stuck in the teeth of the tap itself. So we'll give this a go. Usually I just go for it on the bench, but it is quite important that the piece we attach here is perpendicular to the face, so we'll give it a go. Was in there. It seems we're obviously using a taper tap for this, and because it's a through hole, shouldn't have to worry about it too much because we'll be able to drive it far enough through. I think that's enough. It started it on its way, so pop him out, hopefully without knackering anything. Other way then. There we go. Then I can put the tap handle on it and finish it off. Okay, so now we get to assemble the blanking plate. Basically, I've got the plug itself. That piece is on there. The bolts finally came in, so it's a button socket head, so that's nice and small. The outside diameter of that is just slightly smaller than this, so that's good. So the idea is I'm going to put some sealant on the threads, and then once that's all sorted out, push that into the actual blanking plug itself. That'll then seal so nothing can get down the inside. Then I need to thread it onto the plate, add some thread lock to it, so that thread locks this to this, and then torque it into 10 Newton meters. Then I'm going to turn it over and then put it onto the Allen key itself, so when I tighten the lock nut onto the back, it doesn't undo this out of the plate again. So I have to clamp that in there and then put it on top of the plate and then torque it up against that. So we'll start off with a bit of sealant. I'm using L-Ring Durco HT, so should help this out. And by the time I've sort of screwed that down onto there, it's going to sort of form itself into the aluminium anyway. I seriously doubt anything would have leaked even if I hadn't sealed it. So we'll put some on there. It's not going to need a lot because the hole in the screws, the hole in the parts already 6 mil or just over 6 mil, and the threads of this are obviously 6, so it's pretty much sort of size for size anyway, so it's pretty good. Okay, so that should be enough. Make sure I put it back in the right way. Blue thread lock, or 243 medium thread lock basically. There's different grades, but like I say, nearly launched that across the workshop. That's fine. That's that. Get rid of some of the shit that's already in the nozzle. That should be plenty. Just quickly twiddle that into here. deck. Just hold it in the vise quickly. 10 Newton meters with a 4mm hex. So that's that out of there. Obviously I need to cramp an Allen key in it and switch over to a 10mm socket. So that goes on there. Washer and the nut. Just check it's clear. Yep, checked. Washer on. Should always really use a washer. And yes, it's, unless it's like a flange nut or something, twiddle that down a bit, lock it onto the hex. It's definitely at 10. Hex looks okay. Definitely tightened up. Just clean off all the crap and garbage. So it's sealed, thread locked, and lock nutted. So no one can say we didn't try. So that's that bit now, and stick the O-ring back on it and it'll be ready to go. My name's Dan, this is Dan91's Garage. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode.